This is a bill to restructure the Madeira Initiative, featured in the Spring World Series Scrimmage 3 legislation docket. The first time I was introduced to drugs was when a friend of mine had gotten addicted to a substance. This friend had his entire life going for him, academics, sports, but this infestation of drugs in his life tore about his future, family, and life. He began to drink and smoke, which hurt his family deeply. And this is why I've never touched or done drugs, vaped, or drank ever. But what about the rest of us? Well, a statistic about the National Center for Drug Abuse found that 2.08 million, or roughly 8% of 12 to 17-year-olds nationwide report using drugs in the last month, which leads us in today's bill and why fellow representatives should vote yes, which is a bill to restructure the Madeira Initiative. We know here in America, we can simply teach the youth about say no to drugs and the backlash from taking such drugs. But in Mexico, where in some parts it's ruled by the cartel, for example, Tamaulipas, where violence has spiked in a new turf war between Los Zetas and other drug trafficking organization. Turzun, where a truce among of cartels appears to be unraveling, and other places where the cult like La Family is far from eliminated. Other forms of crime, including kidnapping, extortion, have also soared due to the drug trafficking organizations continue to take over other illegal enterprises and informal economics, posing an even greater challenge to the state and other countries like the United States, where they're coming over here and smuggling it. So what is the solution? There are two steps of how the Congress can take in order to combat Mexico's increasing rates of drug problem. Well, it says in the docket, provide economic support, like stated in the docket, that the United States will advocate $1 billion every year for the next decade to counter narcotics and develop within Mexico. Essentially, this will fund intelligence agencies like the FBI here in the United States to break down the cartel network, and two, a greater collaboration between the U.S. Coast Guard and Mexico Navy with increased targeting for smuggling networks enables the U.S. and Mexico to combat smuggling issues. The government's previous policy of decapitation focused on limiting high-value targets, the heads of cartels, and deploying military patrols in the streets, but it failed at its most basic goal, to boost public safety despite the unending parade of captured or killed narcos. The policy actually generated new turf wars among the cartels over territory and corruption networks who tried to capitalize on recently decapitated rivals. Crucially, the Mexican government has realized that it needs a manufactured response to serious organized crime. It has begun replacing the decapitation strategy with one that focuses more on the entire networks, not just the heads. Such a policy requires a law enforcement and intelligence apparatus that have robust investigative capacity and are reasonably free from corruption. This will help, again, with the correlation between the US and Mexico to combat that issue. Through example number 2 is able to be achieved, again, through the collaboration between the US and Mexico, which the US is able to teach the local police and intelligence skills and training needed to end the drug crisis in Mexico. Tijuana, for example, provides a model on how to deploy military in trouble spots instead of soldiers who often lack a mandate or ability to conduct systematic investigations. Newly vetted police units can take the lead in providing safety on the streets, conducting investigation. The military can be deployed in the background to supplement the police if they are subject to intense violence by the narcos. Finally, to both increase employment to end the impunity planned on above, more police and military personnel are needed. Introducing officers in the Mexico Federal Police dedicated to erasing the organized crime would increase the state's strength and therefore weaken the harmonic region power of large cartels. A stronger police force would also help ensure cartel members are indicted for the offenses. To increase the number of police officers, again, the United States has to help with the Mexico intelligence agencies, and the government needs incentives enlisting such officer. So by increasing officer wages will make the job more appealing and would also reduce bribes. So if the US would donate to Mexican government, then such advantages on the end of drug violence in the Mexican community cannot be achieved. Furthermore, the support and collaboration between the US and Mexico enables well-trained police to combat the drug issues in Mexico. Please vote yes. And we move on to the negative. So that was affirmative. That was a 5-minute speech. Fellow representatives, I ask to vote no on the bill to restructure the Madeira Initiative. I simply ask, why would in America's best interest to support and fund a neighboring country when our own country has its own problems? For example, shouldn't America fund initiatives to start a civil corps to combat unemployment? Or should the US fund initiatives to fund poor citizens, especially homeless veterans? Why don't we fund them and give them support while we're giving all our money to Mexico? Why should it be America's responsibility to help another country when we should put and fix our issues first? Why don't we continue the funding of the building of the south border wall to combat the smugglers entering the United States? They're just the few questions I continue to ask and wonder about. It shouldn't be our job to always help everyone else. It should be our American duty to fix our own issues first, especially when Mexico itself is a disaster itself, with the cartel running many regions in Mexico, and military can't even get in those regions due to the overwhelming cartel power and presence. I ask fellow representatives to not get us back in a war against gangs or ethnic groups like in Afghanistan. It shouldn't be our responsibility when we already have responsibilities in the first place. Let us not get involved. Let us be isolationist, which should be the American standard. We should not get ourselves stuck in a 20-year war again. Please, representatives, vote no, America first. That's all I ask. And I think that if we were to do that, we won't get ourselves stuck in a situation where we're giving away free money to other nations that may be corrupted or given away to the cartels themselves. Again, because they rule these regions, they had some power tripping in the Mexican government itself, which will enable the cartel to take some of that money, the allocated money of $1 billion, and use it for themselves. How can we trust the Mexico government? Again, because of that very fact. That's why I ask, vote no, do not give away our money, and nor should we give away our manpower to help others. Instead, we should help ourselves first. Again, American first, vote no. Thank you.